Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining Painting with Picasso's Grapevine. My name is Leanna Hahn, and I will be your host and teacher for today. Today we're going to start out with this really cool painting here. Very nice and light, very cheery. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about motion and how to achieve that effect. So with this beautiful dragonfly here, we've got a little bit of activity here that we're kind of emphasizing with just very light strokes, just around the angles of the wings here. And we've got a nice blending motion, and just kind of to show you how to get some of that nice motion, that nice activity in this painting. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a check on our supplies for today. I'm going to be using 3 paint brushes. I've got a very large number 12 filbert, I got a very, very tiny number 1 filbert, and I've got a very tiny number 1 flat. As well, we always use acrylic paints. So today we're going to be using a color combination of cad yellow. We have some light cad green. We have black, we have white. We got something kind of fun today. We're using a metallic cobalt blue. And that's what we're going to use kind of around here around and near those wings. And today we're going to use a pencil. So to start off with, let's go ahead. We always do this. We kind of take a look at our painting and say, okay, where am I going to place things? So of course we're going to start with the background. We're going to get that on and we're going to let that dry. And then we're going to work on the placement of our dragonfly. So from a general perspective, it's kind of like right in the middle, a little bit down from, directly in the middle, but kind of centered on your canvas here. So pretty simple. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. And we're going to start with our blank canvas. And we're going to start as well with our number 12 filbert. So go ahead, get that wet. We always have our cup of water here and our dab rag. And what we're going to do for today is we're going to do a lot of blending right on the canvas. So I'm going to be jumping back and forth predominantly between all these colors with the exception of the black. So we're going to start off by kind of mixing a little bit of that yellow and green and just start to get that moving. Now I'm going to point something out to you, bringing back in the original painting here. You'll notice here we've just kind of got a light, soft covering movement motion back and forth. And we're going to move down. Then we're going to start a different direction. So we're going to kind of create the movement of the background really to align with where these little wings are. And we'll do the same thing around here. And that's, again, some of the emphasis on where the direction of the strokes in the background, that helps give you a little bit of movement as well. So I know I do a lot of jumping back and forth, and that really is based on your personal preference. How dark do you want the painting? This particular painting is very, very, very loose. The background is very loose. So at the end of the day, really what you're trying to achieve is something that is beautiful and appealing to your eyes. So don't worry about it. You can't mess it up. So we're going to start with our coverage. Just kind of moving. I've got a little bit of a swoop going here, back and forth. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of white. I like that white on top of it because it removes, it makes the colors on your canvas already, it helps with it, they're very opaque. So when you add in that white, it makes it more solid and it'll cover the canvas. Where you'll notice if you're using just the other colors, a lot of times it's very translucent. And sometimes you want that effect, but today we want a little less of that translucent. So we're going to go ahead and put some white and continue. As well, if you want to hang up this painting on your wall and you don't want to use a frame, don't forget to paint right on the sides. And that kind of gives you the ability to say, hey, I'm just going to throw this on the wall. I don't need a frame. And again, my motions are just kind of going left and right. I've got a little bit of an arc here going on top. And I'm going to throw a little bit more white right in the middle. Now another technique, once you get coverage on there and you want to smooth out your strokes, you'll notice I have more pressure when I'm putting the paint on the canvas, but then I kind of use the side and I go very softly, and that acts as an eraser, really kind of removing the definition of the strokes and giving you a nice finished look. Because you don't want to see those stops and start strokes. And so we'll kind of continue down. We're going to kind of want to come down roughly about almost 3/4, or excuse me, yeah, let's say about a quarter way down, almost close to half. So, and just continue that movement. Kind of throwing in the different colors, those 4 main colors we're working with, and letting them blend right on the canvas. Now you'll notice too, I had a little bit of that black streak. The tip of my paint actually touched that black streak. I just went right over it. Just kind of have to watch the placement of all the colors on your palette. Sometimes you run into one that you don't want. Usually pretty easy to fix. And kind of continue. Again, once you get that coverage, you like it, do that soft motion back and forth. And get the rest of that. Now, I like the strokes actually showing through in the different colors. So a lot of times I'll go through and I'll add a very dark color, only going over it just a few times. You want to have that nice streaky feel. If you blend too much, you end up with one color. I like the contrast. So I lay it in there, just a couple strokes, and then done. So I think we've got our top here pretty good. Now we're going to move down to the bottom. If you recall, we have this beautiful dragonfly, and we've got some motion kind of coming down here at the bottom. So we're going to start by putting in that background and just moving it up and down. It's kind of like a Christmas tree. As you're getting closer to the center, you're making it tighter, almost coming upwards, right at the center. And then going over it with the white. Now remember, we're going to have that beautiful dragonfly right here in the middle. So we're going to take these strokes right to the center, and they're going to end where you would expect the dragonfly to be, right in the center. So continue, just moving your strokes back and forth, carrying them out. And then jumping back and forth in between the different colors. Now, if you're finding you're getting a lot of dimpling, don't forget, we can go to our water, kind of dab it off a little bit. That acts as a very nice medium and helps you to create some more blending. And continue the same thing on this side. So again, I'm creating these strokes that would mimic really the movement of the wings. So we kind of take that continuously towards the center. Jumping back and forth between the 4 colors, kind of creating a nice combination of streaks on the canvas. And whenever you want, throw in a little bit of that beautiful turquoise. You get a nice feel. All right. Now, right here is where we're going to have a different motion on our background. So this is going to be behind where we have those wings. So let's kind of start changing the direction. So we're going to go on top of, and it's good to do this while it's wet because it blends beautifully. We're going to create some motion in the background right behind where we think we're going to place our wings. Again, using the same technique, jumping between the multiple colors, and we're kind of arcing it, creating a much larger impression of where we're going to have that wing. Work through your dimpling, get that spread, and once you have good coverage, then go with that nice soft feel on the side of your brush and even it out. And then we'll do the same thing right here, because this is where that other little wing is going to go. Again, I'm not too worried about the center because that is where the body of our dragonfly is going to go. But let's go ahead and just get some of the outside activity. If you're finding yourself getting too close to one color, change it up. Add a darker color, and this a couple strokes, and then let it be. All right, So we've got some nice coverage. Now we're going to go through, redefine. Where is that stroke? Where is that coverage? And while your paint is wet, finish up any more touch-ups so it blends very nicely. All right. So basically the exact same thing that we've done on this side is what you'll complete on the left side. So again, in all of our classes, we try to give you enough so that you can take what we've taught here and repeat this at home and just finish the other side. Now for timing, I have brought another canvas that is already prepared and ready for us to move on. So we'll move over to that canvas. Now, you'll want to go ahead and let that dry, and really acrylics dry so very fast. So probably 7-10 minutes and you're kind of good to go. So this kind of gives you a dried canvas, gets you a feel for what your canvas should look like. So lots of nice strokes, the movement right here, and we're ready for the next step. So we're going to take a look at our original and just kind of compare the two and say, okay, where's our placement? Where are we going to put things? The question I get quite often is it okay to go ahead and draw in pencil right on top? And the answer, of course, is yes. You do want to use very, very light pencil touch so that you're able to cover it with paint. So we're going to go ahead and just put a general idea of where is that head. All of this should be able to be covered with your paint stroke, so don't worry about it showing through. Just kind of sketching it very lightly. You may or may not even be able to see this. I'm just kind of giving myself some kind of definition so I can see where to place my paint, just for proportions. All right. And then here's another thing too. Again, I am painting and drawing from the side. You'll want to make sure you step in front of your canvas, take a look at it, make sure it's proportionately placed. And then as well, we're going to move right out here, add in some of that nice, beautiful little wings, just to give me an idea of where to place it. Now, if you're really good with going ahead and working with paints and drawing with paints, then feel free. You don't need to do this. This is just kind of a little help as you're kind of walking through this painting. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move into our, still using the very large brush, we're going to dab that out, and we're going to move into our white. And we're going to use the white really as the basis to draw our wings. So we're going to go ahead, place that out there, and just kind of get an idea of where that wing should be. Very light, because we're going to go over that with different colors. And then the same thing with the bottom wing. Go ahead, place that out there. This is kind of angled a little bit right through here. Gets a little fatter and then kind of comes up. So pretty easy. Just get that first layer of a light white. And then we'll do the same thing with the other side. And again, this is where you at home will want to make sure you stand in front, making sure that you're going to get things proportionate. Bring that in, and then do the same thing right here. And I'm doing it in this very, very light white because as you can see, we've got a lot of nice strokes through here. If I've made a mistake, I can very easily cover it up. So we'll go ahead and fill that in, just to get that opaque feeling. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the center of the body. We're going to move to our middle brush that is nice, tight. It's a very small square brush. And we're just going to go ahead and fill in where the center of that body is. I've already placed the outline, of course, so I've got something to follow. Again, this would be the place where you step back, set to the center of your canvas, make sure you're giving yourself the ability to make these proportionate on each side. And we're just doing a nice loose drawing. So pretty easy. Just go ahead and fill it in black all the way down. and continue down the center. We're going to come in with some paints on top of that just to give it a nice highlight. Just really just kind of getting some definition of the body all the way down. Alrighty. So go ahead and put that in your water, and then we're going to go back over to our very large brush, and we're going to add some color. So what I'm going to do is kind of jump into this yellow, and then make very, very light strokes across my wings. Doing the same thing with each of the wings. And the color combination truly is up to you. You don't have to worry about doing exactly yellow. If you want to emphasize more of the green, more of the blue, totally up to you. So just kind of placing it out there. Then I'm going to move into this really nice, beautiful metallic and just kind of make a very general outline. And I'm using the tip of my brush, you'll notice, and you can see here with a very large brush, you can make a very small line. Just making sure you've got enough moisture in your brush. And doing the same thing with the wings down below. So what's so cool about this and the motion that I wanted to really show you is really kind of continuing with that. I'm jumping back into my white a little bit, and we're going to do just some nice wisps to kind of show, all right, there is movement in the wings. Very light. You're going to really, really need to practice on the pressure that you place on the canvas. You could do this, as you can see, with a very, very large paintbrush. You can do it with a very small paintbrush. It really just depends on how much pressure you place. So this is another part where you go through and you kind of really experiment with different brushes. Get a nice feel for which ones achieve what effect you're trying to accomplish. And of course, you're going to do the same thing on this side. Now you'll notice in the center of that particular little dragonfly, we've got a little bit of activity. This just kind of creates some depth. So we're going to go over it right where it's white. I'm using the square brush, grabbing some white, and we're just kind of creating a little bit of activity. Very vague, very ambiguous. We'll come down, and I'm going to show the emphasis of the body being concave, and I do that by placing some color on the sides. Making sure that color goes in a roundabout motion, and then same thing right below it. This just kind of shows the eye that there is a portion that is on the top and there's a portion on the side. It's not flat. And then the last thing we're going to do down here is just add a little bit of interest. And then go ahead, add a little bit of more sweeps right around here, as many as you like. Change up the colors. Keep your swoops kind of going with the motion that we've created in the background. And you've got yourself a really nice summer painting. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and hopefully we're taking some of the scary out of painting. If you have any questions, you'd like to learn more about how to paint these paintings, do send us an email to info@picassosgrapevine.com. Thank you for joining us.